how this presentation is going to give an overview of basic education in Japan. I am Kich Oyasu from Asia Pacific Cultural Center for UNESCO, called ACCU. Let me begin with an overview of the Japanese school system. Basic education is for 9 years, consisting of 6-year primary and 3-year junior secondary education. According to the Japanese Constitution, Article 26, education is the right and also obligation. And the compulsory education for 9 years should be free. And the Basic Act on Education was enacted in 1947 and revised in 2006 that guarantee the compulsory education as a local government's responsibility. National education policy emphasizes the characteristics and the competencies for living, balancing academic ability, richness in mind, and healthy body. And compulsory education, as I mentioned, it's a 9-year education with automatic promotion, so no dropout. And more than 80% of students go to senior secondary school. And dropout rate is from the senior secondary school is 1.5%. You can see the different roles of education administration from central to school levels. Basically, central level government, Ministry of Education set the national standard. And Prefecture Board of Education implement educational administration, and municipality board also operate the compulsory education schools and setting the regulations. And those curriculum is implemented in schools according to the local situation based on the prefecture and also municipal board of education guidance. And this is the standard curriculum content of primary education and also junior secondary education. And classroom schedule is like this, as you can see. This is an example of the second graders. And national curriculum standard was revised every 10 years. Let me explain about the key milestones. In 1978, the curriculum was adjusted to reduce the burden, trim down the content. And 1998, integrated studies are introduced that I'm going to explain later. And 2009, foreign languages are introduced in grade 5 and 6 as a subject. And 2015, moral education is also introduced as a subject. And 2018, the latest curriculum standard revision emphasized curriculum open to the society. Regarding the textbook, They are developed by the private publishers and authorized by the Ministry of Education, and basically in public primary and junior secondary schools, textbooks are free. And this is the process of the writing to the production and the use by the students. Let me share some features of the Japanese school education besides the standard curriculum. And one is integrated studies. It's a cross-cutting studies to develop problem-solving activities, and children can learn to identify and explore problems of the society and life by themselves. Basically, school can decide what subject to be explored, like disaster risk reduction, mapping, and study the local folklores. And another is tokkatsu, that means student-initiated activities, and this uh, provides the educational activities in groups to consider school and classroom as a small society, and that can develop the independent and practical attitude of children to enable them to build better group life and better personal themselves. And this includes student council and club activities of music and sports and etc. The features of activities outside of the classroom is one is school lunch that is provided most primary and junior uh, secondary school, and students bring and serve food, and they do not just eat, but they learn manners and also nutrition. And after eating, they bring back used dishes. So this is done in groups in turn. And another is students clean the classroom, ground, toilets, etc. By themselves. Let me move on to teachers. To get the qualification, they have to complete teacher education courses at universities or colleges, and certificates should be renewed every 10 years through in-service teacher training programs. And public school teachers are employed by Board of Education through exams and interviews and demonstration. But in the case of private schools, each school has their selection or employment process. And one of the interesting feature of the Japanese teacher education program is a school-based research and training that is called lesson studies. So they practice the lesson and reflect and analyze the teaching learning materials and process. So this kind of circle is very important for this lesson studies. This is some example, the school organization, internal management, faculty members, and also linkage with local Board of Education and Prefecture Board of Education and parents and guardians. So in school community, there are many stakeholders like PTA, school management council, and community learning centers. We call it Kominkan, and local resource persons. This local collaboration, cooperation is elaborated by the presentation of the Hasune Daini Elementary School. So under the Ministry of Education policy for ESD, Central Council for Education emphasized that ESD should be the fundamental principle for the national curriculum standards. Accordingly, the latest revision of the national curriculum emphasized the competencies for living, and that should be equipped with for all children, and they should be the main bearers for the sustainable society, and not only the academic skills but also experiences and exploring and problem-based solving learning activities. So this is all about the overview of the Japanese education system. Thank you.